Good day, sir. I'm Judeline Bordahi, and this is my pre-recorded video in reading some topics that he gives. First, guides in photographing crime scenes. A series of photographs of the crime scenes. B. The defected object in the photograph should not be immaterial or irrelevant. The kinds of photographs to be taken at the sense. A. Photographs of the decay showing the relationship of the dead body with the surroundings, especially the physical evidence. B. Photographs of evidence showing forcible entry, destroyed padlock, broken doors and windows, and other relevant sign of disturbances. The use of special photography, such as ultraviolet ordostereoscopy, microphotography, photomicrography, movie, camera, and etc. B. Photography of environs. C. Close-up photographs of the dead body after removal from the scenes. Sketching and crime scenes. A. Sketch. Define it is the graphic representation of the scenes of the crime with complete measurements of the relative distance of relevant object and conditions obtaining during the general kinds of sketch. 1. Round sketch. It is made by the investigator at the crime scene, which is full of important details, but without the skills of profession. This used as the basis of the finished sketch. 2. Finished sketch. This is the sketch with the scale of proportion and drawn by a draftsman. The wrote sketch and the finished sketch are for courtroom presentation. 11. Special kinds of sketch. A. Sketch of locality. It deals with the crime scenes in relation to the environment. It includes neighboring buildings, structures, or mean of access leading to the sense. This kind of sketch is applied in conflagration suspect to be arson, indicating the origin of the fire and how it spread naturally or unnaturally against the winds. 2. Sketch of the round. These kinds of sketch which illustrates the sense of the crime with the nearest physical surroundings such as the room adjacent and opposite the room of the crime scenes, the number of floors of a building or house, the yards and other natural structures. Sketch in details or cruise projection view or the explored view. It is describes the immediate sense only, especially inside a room as a sense of the crime. The room is treated as the cardboard box where the sides and cover collapse to the same plane as the bottom. The bottom serves as a floor. The four sides representing the walls and the cover representing the ceiling. The piece of evidence found on the floor, walls, and ceilings are depict or draw with representative measurement with reference points, such as bullet holes, splatters of blood, and other pertaining data. The elements of sketch. A. Measurements of space and distance of relevance object to their point or of reference. Example, the distance of loaded pistol to the body of the victim and the nearest wall. Point of reference must always be on 2 points to give the extra location of the object by way of the latitude or longitude. The room area must be measured by the weight and length, together with the height of the walls and the size of the door and the direction of its swings. B. Compass direction. A standard arrow of indicate the north direction. To find the north without compass, determine the east where the sun rises. Facing east, your left side is north direction. C. Essential items. All items in the sense must be included. Never decide outright that some items are irrelevant. As you proceed in the investigation, these seemingly irrelevant items will become relevant or material in the investigation. D. Scales of proportion. It is an element of the finished sketch. This is not an element of the rough sketch. It is the proportion of the finished sketch to the actual size or measurement at the sense. The scales of 150 means at that 1 inch in the sketch measurement is 50 inches in the actual sense measurement. A. Legend. This is usually placed at the bottom of sketch outside the sketch of the sense. The object of the crime sense are represented by numbers of letters in order not to unnecessarily crowd the graphics presentation. Their description are found in the legend. Example, no tree in the sketch is explained. In the legend is a pistol called 45 SN 123 uh, 1243 loaded in the chamber with 5 rounds of cartridge, cartridge cartridges in the magazines. F. Title. This is the portion of the sketch of identify the particular case by the name of the victim, the extra address of the exact address of the sense, the date and time of occurrence, the time of the preparation of the sketch and the name of signature of the sketcher. Collection, marking, tagging, and preservation of the evidence. A. Collection. Evidence is It is individually marked with the initial of the investigator. The marking tools depends upon the nature of the evidence. If it is hard objects such as material, the, the initial are scratches or engraved by the use of sharp point style which is called stylus. B. Marking. Every collect evidence is marked if they are of the same class or type such as 45 calibre fire empty shells. They are marked consecutively such as RMB 1, RMG 2, RMG 3, and so forth and so on. Evidence which by their nature could not be marked on each surface such as blood, hair, fe- fevers, and placed in the plastic container where the container is then marked. C. Tagging. Every piece of evidence that is collect the and marked must be tagging. A card is attached by a string to the evidence with the proper entry of identification and description together with the reference to the specific case. D. Preservation. Perishable materials shall be preserved by the way or the methods of preservation in order that they will reach the court in the same physical condition as when they were collected from the crime scenes. This is the word of laboratory technician. Chain of custody. Define it is the number of person who handle the possess the pieces of evidence the moment that they were collect, marked, and tagging up to the time of the final deposition of the case. The basic rule of the limit the chain of custody to avoid tempering, tempering, substitution, or loss. If the evidence needs laboratory examination, the investigator must submit direction to the laboratory without delegating it to other persons. To submission is accompanied accompanied by a written request and to be officially received by the receiving officer of the laboratory. The receipt must have a legal legible identification of the receiver together with his signature, time and date of receipt. If the evidence requests no laboratory examination, it must be submitted to the evidence custody duty receptor. Methods of marking specific kinds of evidence. 1. A. Guns. Revolver must be marked separately on the frame, both cylinder, barrel and stock. For rifle, They shall be marked on the barrel, frame, bolt, or slide. All magazines and accessories shall also be marked. B. Revolver cylinder. Slide from the mark on the cylinder. The chamber facing the firing pin must be marked as soon as it is opened for examination. A drawing must depict the chamber facing the firing pin, the respective position of the fire empty shells misfired, or the cartridge. A detailed examination on the respective position of this evidence could make or unmake a claim of self-defense. The, the posterior of the cylinder must also be depicted in the sketch to show the respective position of the smoke rings drained. Each chamber containing a fire empty shell will exhibit these smoke rings at the posterior portion of the chamber. When there is discrepan- discrepancy, the investigators must look for the answer. The revolver may have been touched or tempered. The direction of the rola- rotation of the cylinder must also be sketched and not note. Colt revolvers have clockwise direction of rotation of the cylinder. Smith and Wesson revolvers have a counter clockwise direction of cylinder rotation. C. Fired empty shell miss misfired cartridges. Strictly regulations say that must be marked inside the mount in case of fire empty cartridge. It is nearly impossible to mark them inside the mount, especially 22 cylinder shells, but they could be marked on the side of the body of the shell, not on the base. D. Bullets or slugs. They can be marked on the um, ogive, or nose, avoiding the land and grooves mark. They could also be marked on the base. F. Reconstructing the crime. Reconstructing the crime defines it is the assessment made by the investigator after the crime since investigation of how the crime is committed. Two kinds of reconstructing um, the crime. A. Physical reconstruction. Reconstructing the crime is based on the physical appearance of the crime since mainly focuses on the face of physical evidence and the accounts of witness and suspect. B. Mental reconstruction. Based on the physical reconstruction, some conclusion could be taken into account all available pieces of evidence. Um, G. The Development of theories. 1. Theory. Define it is the ima- imaginative constem- contemplation of real- reality, direction, intellectual apprehension, insight, or body of general generalization and principles development in association with the practice in a certain field of activity. Number two, the need of investigators theory. If there if there are no witness of to the commission of the crime, the investigator is left with the physical evidence to formulate how the crimes is committed. In his formulation, he will form theories to guide his future action. The investigators must begin the simple theory of how the crime was committed and by one by and what motive his may have more than one theory depending upon the unique circumstance of every case. He will proceed in the formulation of theories from the simplest of to the most complex. As the investigator progresses in the investigation, the begins in the sim- simplest theory. He will discard one by one the theories he formulates as the evidence warrant until he is focused in the single theory to guides him to conclude his investigation. The investigator should never disclose his theories to the press because in so doing he will open himself to unsavory cross examinations by the defense counsel when the case is finally brought before the court for trial. The investigator should not immediately jump to the most complex theory because ex- very experience pro- proves that this is destructive. To illustrate this point, take a take a case of a re- rich rich man is standing outside the gate of his house and a a passerby shot him several times. All the bullets hitting the area of his genitals. To the ordinary investigator, he will jump immediately to the conclusion that the shooting incident is a crime of passion. Um, Thus, he will harass the victims. No enemies, enemies presents the past associates the and other person perceived to be an enemy enemy of the victim. He will now go to the press to publish his theory and his action is well is all focused to support his theory. But but in the end of the investigation, the movie a motive to of killing is just a simple trial killing and the suspect did not by design intended to land all his bullets on the victim's genitals but was just an accident. The investigator then is revol- revolved and embarrassed by his own his own rashness. Worse, he will be cross-examined by the defense counsel about his published theory, which is very foreign to the movie. This is happening to our pres- present investigators. They overly expose themselves to the press to nothing that is concrete. Concrete. H. Field inquiry. Inquiry. 1. Field inquiry. Define it is the general questioning of all persons at, near, or around the crime scenes. 2. When the field inquiry, the moment that the investigator sets foot at the crime scenes, he must immediately conduct the general questioning of all persons present traits, or he may assign his assistant or any member of the investigating team. Most often, the members of the Mobile Patrol Bureau of arrive at the sense earlier had early already conduct the field inquiry and have in their custody the witnesses and the suspect. The investigator should not stop her but conduct further field inquiry at the remaining people or those who will arrive at the scenes. 3. How to treat witnesses and suspect retained at the scenes. The witness and or suspect retained at the treat scenes shall be immediately transported to headquarters with the basic guidelines that they should not talk with each other during the trip and should be immediately separate with each other upon arrival at the station. 4. The purpose of separating the witness or suspect from one another. This, the purpose why there's is need to separate each witness from the other and which applies also to suspect is to preserve the independence of their respective accounts about the commission of the crime. I. Going back to the crime scenes. 1. Reasons for going back to the crime scenes. In some instances, crime are committed during night time and the investigator arrives the scenes at daytime due to late discovery or delayed report about the commission of a crime. The investigator back to the scenes at the extra time when the crime occurred in order to see for himself one order of things at that precise moment. His notes of concern shall be the lighting condition, the distance of normal visibility, the volume of the pedestrian and vehicles traffic and other things that conditions relevant to his investigation. The reason of the during of the reason is that during the progress of investigation, new matters may crop up which may be in a vertality a ver, inadvertently inventally considered irrelevant during the crime scene's investigation. Those need to go back to value of the process. Having first personal knowledge of his fact, he could use them to confront lying, extra, ex, exaggerated or half-truth narration of witness and the admission and confusion of suspect. These are potent tools against wayward confessions or admission. Hmm. J. The three the three phases of criminal investigation. 1. The identification of the criminal. 2. The criminal is tracked, located, and arrested. 3. 3. The fact or evidence to prove his guilt or gathered for in introduction during trial. K. The four methods of identifying the criminals. 1. By confession or admission. 2. By accounts or testimonies of witness. 3. By circumstantial evidence. 4. By associative evidence. L. The two kinds of criminal for purposes of identification by witness. 1. Knowing fug knowing fugitive. The criminal are knowing the criminals are knowing by names and others persons circumstance by the witness even before the commission of the crime. 2. Unknown fugitive. Fugitive. These kinds of criminal are unknown to the witness by names and other personal circumstances before the commission of the crime. Although some of these criminals are identified by witness through their photographs in the Rigue gallery and other sources, they are they are classified as known fugitive. In some past experience, the witness had identified these kinds of criminals through their photographs, yet they could not identify them in person during the police lineup. Um, Factors affecting positive identification. 1. The ability of witness to positively identify the unknown criminals depends upon his level of alertness, intelligence, vision, age, and health. 2. The prevailing conditions of visibility and of observation at the crime scenes. 3. The lapse of time between the commission of the crime and the arrest of the offender. 4. The opportunity of the criminal to vary his personal appearance, such as the removal of mustache, sideburns, gold teeth, the charge of hairstyle, the change of hairstyle, the addition of tattoos on the face, arrange arranging nose rings, rings, or fist left truth surgery. M. Method of identification by witness. 1. Verbal description. This is the physical description of the unknown figurative by witnesses based on the extent and range of their perception. 2. Roach gallery. These are the police these are the police files of photographs of known criminals. These photographs may be directly taken by the police or those gathered from other sources to the form part of the police gallery. 3. General photographs. The investigator should show the witness and a variety and photographs which does not necessarily represent the criminal in order for a witness and to appros- approximate the nearest description of the unknown figure. The figure about the degree of baldness, shape of nose or face scars will help the witnesses to arrive at a clear description. 4. Cartographic sketch. It is the composite representation reduced to a drawing of the suspect face made by an artist and based on the description furnished by the witness. It is done by showing the witness a chart containing representation of the direction types of the human figure as the shape of face, nose, eyes, lips, ear, and others. The witness then select from his charts under artist reduce it to a drawing as an approximate facial image of the unknown criminals. And the police upline and the police lineup. Number 1. Police lineup. Define it is the process of identification by witness of the unknowing fugitive who is mixed with innocent person line before the witness. 2. Procedures of police lineup. A. For one suspect of be mixed with innocent person, the lineup must be the least be composed of 7 persons of the 10 persons. This increases when there are 2 or more suspect mixed with innocent person for identification. B. The appearance of those composing the lineup must be approximately the same as the height, bullet, complexion, hairstyle, clothing, or etc. C. The witness should be instruct before entering the lineup room about the procedure room about the presence of the suspect. D. Suspect must be given the opportunity to select their position in the lineup. E. The lineup members are not allowed to talk during the process or make any movement which by suggests the identity of the suspect. F. The investigator should not talk or move which may indirectly identify the suspect. The power of suggestion should always be avoided. G. The proceeding must be covered by details report on possibility by a movie camera for court presentation. O. Center center point of physical identification. 1. Face. A. Shapes square, round, oval, rectangular, heart shapes, trapezoid, invis, uh, invested trapezoid, and other appropriate descriptions such as the presence of scars, moles, birthmark, etc. B. Forehead. C. Eyebrow. D. Mustache, sideburns, goatee. A. E. Eyes, deep sated, bulging, regular, chinky, etc. F. Ears, regular, bulging, scalp shape. G. Cheeks, depth, pointed cheek bone, um, round, etc. H. Nose, aquiline, aquiline, fudge, regular, wide, big nose, etc. I. Mouth, small, long, round. J. Jaw, square, regular, deep, prominent, etc. Key. Lips, think, thick, thin, think, arching, upward or downward. I. Teeth, missing, yellow, reddish, big, small. M. Chin, uh, receding, protruding, cliffed. Number 2. Hairs, curly, short, scarp, long, few, thick, or bushy, kinky, afro types. 3. Neck, short, long, round, submerged. 4. Shoulder, broad, regular, heavy, narrow. Waist, rotund, small, regular, bulging. Hands, tattoo, location, long, short, muscular, thin, scarce, birthmark, moles. 7. Fingers, missing, extra number, short, long, fat, regular. Number 8. Manner of walking. Leaping, ampu, left or right or degree, whether to the knee, ankle, bone or others. Voice, variation, tenor, slow, loud, womanish accent, accents, working, harsh, stir, stuttering, broken. Physical appearance: His, Hispanic, American, American, Caucasian, Asian, ne- Negro, Negroid. Complexion: brown, tan, light, fair, white, black, dry skin, coarse, show sweaty or other appropriate description. P. The physical evidence to identify the criminal. 1. Kinds of physical evi- evidence. A. Corpus delicti. This is the object or substance which constitute the essential parts of elements of the composition commission of the crime. It is sometimes called the body of the crime, not the body of the victim. The cause of death is one of the initial elements of the crime. B. Associative evidence. Pieces of evidence which will link the suspect to the crime scene, as fingerprint, foot or shoe impression, or some of the example. C. Tracing evidence. Article which assess the investigator in locating the criminal. Stolen, stolen in the position of the suspect of is the example. Present, preservation and care of evidence. 1. Purpose. In order that the evidence gathered at the crime scene shall have the same substantial conditional when they will not be present before the court during trial. Those care must be exercised to exercise to avoid tempering, destruction, or subtraction of the physical evidence. 2. Marking. The purpose of marking is to positive and define 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 it define identification during trial. The investigator is required to identify the pieces of evidence during the trial of the cases. In some instances, drug cases were dismarked due to failure of the investigator and to identify where such substance of drug was the subject of drug fun pushing from the substance of drugs subject to pro possession. R. Modus operandi. Number one. Modus operandi. Define simply it is the method. It is the method of the operation by a specific criminal or criminal syndicate. It is established by a series of crimes under one classification. The modus operandi of one criminal is distinct and different from the other. It is a criminal trademark, logo, or brand name. Example are the use of a junior size crew bar and residential robberies, cooking and eating at the kitchen of the victim during the robbery, leaving human excreta, and on the rug of victim's house or house. Destroying a roof sheet of to gain entry to on the residence. These are but few examples. Number 2, importance of modus operandi. It is one of the most useful means to identifying unknown fig, figure, figure, fugitives. Thus, every investigation until unit shall maintain a modus operandi like a file. B. For use of security education program of the citizenry over the radio or television programs or the seminary about self safety education. That's all, sir. Thank you.